AR15.com is one of the most popular gun forums on the internet. But this week, GoDaddy, which is not supposed to be policing content, they're not your mom, they provide internet hosting services, took the remarkable step of yanking AR15.com offline. So we asked GoDaddy today why, and they told us this, quote, "We received a complaint regarding certain content on AR15.com. Our team investigated the content in question and confirmed it violated our terms of service because it, quote, incited violence," whatever that means. AR15.com is now back online with a new hosting provider, but it's a moment that we should pause and think about with Pete Brownell. He's the chairman of the Second Adventure Group, the owner of AR15.com, as well as the guy who runs Brownell's, which if you're a sportsman, you know well. We're happy to have him on tonight. Pete, thanks so much for joining us. So,
thank you, Tucker.
In what world does GoDaddy have the right to end your ability to produce content? I didn't know that they could do that, or did.
Right. It was a surprise to us that was the provider that we used that pulled us off the website. They're a registrar, for those who don't know them, and that's really the phone book for when you type that into your browser, it directs you to our servers, and they're the ones that said, we no longer want you because you apparently violated one of their policies, which is patently false.
I mean, it goes without saying that it's a lie, and whatever, they didn't explain the standard. I mean, we don't even take that seriously. The reason that this is a chilling moment, and we wanted to hear directly from you, is that it's clearly a vision of the future where you're not allowed to express your views on the Second Amendment even, much less exercise it. Are you worried?
We are worried about this, specifically with this administration, who has probably the worst policy or planks that are coming in on being very restrictive on firearm ownership, a much drastic or different view of how individual ownership should be regulated and registered in the United States. And if our voice is silenced or a half of the argument is not even considered or being allowed to speak in America today, that should be troubling for everybody, not just pro-Second Amendment individuals, but everybody out there in America should stand up and say, wait a second, this is not what our foundation of our country was built on. And when it comes to a civil liberty like the right to own firearms as an individual, you should all stand up and take note, specifically with not having a voice to talk to each other and raise awareness of some of the issues that are definitely coming at us right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're from this country, did you ever imagine that big companies, wholly outside regulation by Congress apparently, could just kind of eliminate the First and Second Amendments and there's nothing you can do about it?
No, it's very Orwellian in its approach. It's one of those things that you read about when you're in the 1950s and 60s with those books that you read in high school. And it becomes one of those things you just can't believe it's the America that you grew up in as you're living in right now. And I think regardless of where you stand politically, we should all take pause and make sure that we truly consider what kind of rhetoric is going around and what kind of controls we're giving to a few when we start talking about being able to communicate to each other. That's free speech, it's America.
I just read a news story that said podcasts are problematic because they're a loophole in social controls. It's hard to censor a podcast. How long before private conversations will be considered a loophole? Seriously.
Right. When did free speech become something that the government needs to put a commission on and tell you what you can and cannot say? There are some restrictions, but I thought we were a free America here.
I thought so too. Pete Brownell, the great Pete Brownell. Brownell, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.